Hello everybody, buongiorno and welcome back to my channel. Today special guest is Vishal. Good morning.
Morning. Hello, everyone.
You're good?
I'm very good, thank you. How about yourself?
Yes, also there's a beautiful sun today, but
It is indeed.
because
It
we are
is.
both in Munich. Vishal has a beautiful story because he comes from India and he moved to Germany. So we are gonna ask him some questions and see if he is happy here or what's his, let's say, point of view. You ready?
Oh, yes, I am, man. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So you arrived to Germany with, and I think you were 21, right?
Almost 21. Yeah. 21, a couple
Okay.
months up. Yeah.
So the question would be like, why and what was the encounter with German culture?
Well, if someone would ask me, like, quite spontaneous, how I came to Germany, I would always say a wrong plane.
Mhm.
But, well, that's the fun part. But there was a reason behind it. So I wanted to finish my studies, because I did 2 years from New Zealand, and I was searching where should I go next.
Mhm.
So then applied for a couple of universities and finally landed up in Munich. I decided, okay, let's go to Germany. I had no plans when I was in India or when I was in New Zealand that I would ever go to Germany. But I believe life has always some special plans for you. So
Mhm.
so I landed. Well, initially I had plans to go to Frankfurt. That didn't
Mhm.
work out. Then after a couple of months in a private university here in Munich, I got accepted, and that's from where the story actually began.
Okay, but at that point you didn't speak German, right?
Not at all. I mean, once I got enrolled, and I got the confirmation that I would be starting in summer.
Mhm.
Then I was like, okay, since I'm going to a country I don't know the language, so I started from YouTube
Yeah.
and did the initial, the
Yes.
crash course.
And how many months before?
I did, let's say 2 months. 2 months, like the initial conversation,
Mhm.
hello, how are you? Like just asking some typical stuff.
Mhm.
So I don't feel paralyzed, like when I'm there
Yeah.
to read the signs. At least I
So
could read the
something.
sign what it means. Otherwise it would have been chaos. Well, it was 3 months approximately
Okay.
that I did, let's say, 2 hours or 2 hours every single day. So I
Ah,
had,
okay.
let's say, a good understanding of the numbers, the normal words, the phrases.
So
Yeah,
something at least.
something at
And
least,
did
exactly.
you find it difficult to learn German or how was it?
Yes, it was. Well, German is quite a
Well,
hard language. I mean,
you're still learning. I
I'm
mean,
still learning. I'm still learning actually. I only finished B1, but since last couple of months, I'm speaking quite often, so I'm feeling really confident. But
mhm.
now I have that feeling that okay, I would love to, like I'm planning to actually stay, but you never know.
That's true. But like now you like German. It's a language that you're comfortable with. Mhm.
But I'll get there. Now I like it, so I feel comfortable when people speak to me, and I want to learn. So that
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's also the
Apparently,
point,
if you're ready to learn, and I think then you would have a good time. Like you wouldn't feel it that hard. That's what I feel.
Question, I would say. We live in Munich, and a lot of people used to say people in Munich, or at least, yeah, in Germany, but in Bavaria especially, are a little bit skeptical, not so open minded towards new people. Do you feel like integrated now? Do you have German friends, or what would you say?
Well, to be honest, my personal experience says as long as you are nice to people, people will be nice to you. Okay, you shouldn't be expecting really friendly people or really friendly culture in general because the country is not like this. So
Mhm.
you shouldn't be having too much expectations from people that if you randomly meet on the street and they would greet you and say hello and smile at you and give you kisses, like that, that's not going to happen. I personally, so far, never had a bad experience in all this 3.5 years. It's all about communication, how you communicate to people, like what your intentions are and how well you do. And I think they do appreciate when you try to speak German, and then they help you. I mean, if you're not understanding anything. So I think it's all about an individual, how he perceive that.
Yeah,
Like this, and people
if
like
you're
this.
if you're scared, or if you're,
Exactly. I
I
mean,
don't
if you
know.
believe the rumors, or that's what I heard from someone, people not friendly, like they don't go well together, and it's kind of like this. Okay, in general, at some extent, it is true, but it's up to you. I mean, if you look at everything from a fresh perspective, I think you would have a good time. That's what my personal experience say. I'm happy. So.
Well, you're definitely very positive. Like I always say to you, you're a super positive person.
Well, I try to be, like, okay, not all the time. You can be positive, but I just try to be.
People, we all have to learn from Vishal. Yeah. And from India, from which town or city are you from exactly?
So I come from north of India. Well, in north we have almost seven states. So Delhi, that everyone knows. From Delhi, I'm from a town called Karnal. It's in the state Haryana. It's 100 kilometers up north.
Okay.
And yeah, we're not the nice people to say,
Yeah.
because we speak Hindi in north of India, only north of India. So if you
Okay.
go somewhere in south or east or west, you wouldn't find anybody speaking Hindi. So that's also a perception people have, that they say, "Oh, do you speak Indian?" I was like, "Okay, what do you mean by Indian?" We have tons of languages. So Hindi, it's like you would. Most of the people speak and understand.
Okay. But it's not like in Germany, like you move everywhere and everyone is speaking German.
No, you cannot survive with Hindi in India. Well, you can survive with English.
And what about like nature and I don't know, the surrounding area? I mean, I suppose, I don't know, Delhi and Munich, they're like two words. I mean, I've
They
only
are
seen
indeed, yeah.
pictures of Delhi, I've never been there, but do you like it more here, or what would you say that it's like completely different in the town, for example?
Delhi is not that big of a city, but okay, if you compare it to Munich, of course, indeed, and it's so populated. So the population, I think, if I'm not wrong, almost 10 million.
Wow.
In general, the weather, so you have almost, if I'm not wrong, around 280 days of sunshine. So in a year. So you have a lot of sun. So when it's hot, when it's summer, it's really hot. When it's cold, you have cold. Okay, not that cold like in Europe, but you would have 0 degree, 1 degree. So that good cold. Like we have a dry cold. So
Okay.
it feels really cold, even though the temperature is not that low. It's just yeah. For me, it's the same cold
As in India.
as India, but the temperature, it goes down almost 10, -10, -11, or something like that.
Yeah,
Nick. So, but it feels the same. I don't know
yeah.
why it's that. But in summer, it gets really hot. Could go up to 45, 46.
Okay.
So it's really hot, where you don't even feel like wearing any piece of clothes on your body. So it gets to that
And
really.
do you have something like, I don't know, in Munich we have the English garden. Do you have something like that in Indian towns, or?
Well, in the towns, in the cities, yes. In the towns, yeah, one or two. As I said, India, the population is huge. We are 1.4 billion. So accommodating that many people and having the luxury of having the bigger parks in the towns is not, not that common. But in the villages, okay, yeah, you have fields, you have, like open farms, and people have land. But where I come from, yeah, we do have. I come from a town near Karnal. We have one or two gardens. Yeah,
That's also different, maybe.
it is. Yeah, well, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. Yeah.
And here in Munich, there is something like an Indian community or so. I mean, there are like many communities, like an Italian one, a Nepalese one. There's also an Indian one.
Yes, we do have not that big. So let's say almost 20, 30,000 approximately. But, like thing to notice that we have mostly South Indians.
Ah,
So
okay.
it's really hard to encounter people from North. Really
Why?
hard. Yes, because in North we have a perception, or we always um, migrate to English-speaking countries. So there is
Ah,
a difference. There is a difference. When I say South, from South we have the IT people. Like we have Silicon Valley in Bangalore. Out of 30,000, you would have, let's say, 2,000 of North Indians only. So the huge population from that is South Indians because they are IT experts, and Munich is the best place in whole Germany, I would say. Yeah, to get jobs, and they are really, really on higher positions, earning really good.
also, okay.
Also, yes, but as it's people like me that are us North Indians, we are not that many. So when I find someone from North, so it's really, really like it's privilege, or I'm
Like
delighted.
emotional. Oh, you're also
Exactly,
from Northern India.
exactly, because like in South India, they don't understand Hindi, and they don't even prefer to speak it, because they have
You
own
have
mother tongue.
to communicate in English,
Yes,
probably.
and then people say, why are you guys speaking in English? I was like, because they don't understand what the language I speak. So for us, okay, it's one country, but it feels like I'm speaking to someone from another country,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
their culture, okay, culture, the countrywide, it's quite identical,
Okay.
but still, it's a huge difference.
Okay. And do you think like for, I don't know, you come here to work, or as in your case, you studied and then started to work? Is it maybe easier to achieve something in Germany or to have a good career than in India?
Again, I would say it's all about how you put efforts into it. I think if someone says that in Munich is having a hard time finding a job, it means that he's not trying. Okay, Munich is expensive. That I can agree on, but at the same time, you have plenty of opportunities.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that question, if someone says no, I had a hard time in Munich surviving, I wouldn't believe.
Believe it.
I wouldn't pass the same word to someone else, because that is not true.
But also, like in India, if you want to achieve something, you think it's also possible. It's not like, oh, it's difficult because, I don't know, so many people are poor. There's not enough works for everyone.
Well, in India, okay, I would say it would be much good, or it would be advantageous if I would start a business rather than I get myself into job. I cannot picture myself working in India. Well, it's been a long time. I never worked in India, so I moved out when I was 16. So it's almost a decade now. But
Yeah.
I cannot picture myself working in India, okay, except starting my own business. Or I cannot imagine myself going back home and start working as a normal job at same in Germany.
Okay.
First of all, we have that many of talented and skilled people that they're in every street. So the competition is really, really high. It becomes really challenging to have your grounds, like
Yeah.
a normal person, for example, if you get into a supermarket. Okay, I'm not saying they're not skilled. Of course, customer service is also a skill, and if I say, but a job like this, you cannot survive in India at all,
Why?
because that you first of all you wouldn't get paid much. That is not considered a really skilled job. If you go to India and get yourself in a supermarket or in a mall or in a shop, that you can barely survive, let alone you can have family.
Okay. Okay.
So India is a really competitive market.
Yeah. And like you talked about supermarket, I would stay on that topic, so food and cuisine. And like Indian cuisine, it's completely different than the German one. And I don't know, there is something that you miss from India that you cannot find really exact the same in Germany. What do you cook at home, maybe?
Well, food, that's a really interesting topic. Well, I personally cook a lot. So, food in Germany, okay, I don't want to be really racist with them, but food here, I don't personally. Again, not being too harsh on German culture or the German food. For me, I think I would never. I didn't really enjoy it, but personally, I'm happy with the food that I eat. I have been to almost 10 Indian restaurants here, and I so far only liked one of them.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're not wrong either at their spot because they have, if they start making the real Indian, like spicy food, nobody would come. So that nobody would visit them. So they have to,
Because maybe it's too spicy
too
or
spicy and too much flavor, like at the same time, because
yeah.
people generally, not, I don't want to put Germany just alone here, generally in Europe, let's take a continent. So they cannot digest that food because they're not used to that kind of food.
Mm-hmm.
Some places in India you would have lots of spices, lots of herbs, and it's really hard for someone who never tried it to have their hands around it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they have to kind of mold it, like to make it the way that everyone can eat it. I cannot imagine myself going out in an Indian restaurant and take someone with me and I'm like, okay, I'll take you for food. Better, I would cook for that person. So I would say, come home, I'll cook you dinner, and it's better that way.
That way, yeah, yeah. Also because yeah, it's the same like in some Italian restaurants. They put, I don't know, heavy cream in dishes where you would never ever find heavy cream in Italy. So
Yeah.
it's like an adaptation to the
Exactly.
country.
So it's that's like a finding balance.
But can you find like all the ingredients that you need if you want to cook, I don't know, an Indian dish?
Jab. I mean, pretty much everything is available here. You have okay. We don't have much Indian shops. We have a couple of good ones, so the bigger ones at Hadbanov. Not
Yeah.
like in any other English country. For example, if I take an example of New Zealand, where I lived before, you would the town I was living. We had almost 15 of them
Ah, okay.
because the community was really big.
And
And
what is like a typical dish that you cook? I don't know because I'm not. I know like chicken tikka or something
yeah.
like that, but
Well, yeah, chicken tikka. That's a kind of we can say that is one of the national dish kind of thing.
okay.
Like a national that people can relate to India. But the state I am from, because the reason why I say state, because every state there have their own dish,
Okay.
their own special, like a specialization dish kind of thing. So us in North, or from my state, we don't prefer to eat chicken or non-veg. So especially my family or in my town or my suburb, you would find 1% of people who would eat non-veg, but normally it's just vegetables.
You're vegetarian. Okay.
So yeah, aubergine and zucchini, this normal vegetables, and make them like an Indian way, like put some spices, onions and tomatoes, and make it like a curry, like you make a pizza sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's a base that we make for every single
Okay.
curry we want to
Curry.
make. Curry is like a generalized name,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like a liquid form. You can call it whatever you want. That's what we eat, and grain and rice. We make the bread, the flat bread,
Mm-hmm.
back home every single day, fresh. And yeah, the time we eat, mom or the sister cooks, and then we eat it together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the normal, yeah. Grain, the flat bread. So it's I don't know if you recognize the word roti.
No.
Or the Mexican wraps. I don't know. I don't know what they say.
Tortilla. Tortilla.
Tortilla. That's the one exactly. So it's kind of identical. So that's the
And
normal
spicy.
spice. Yeah, good spice. Yes. Yeah.
Because, you know, a friend brought me
Mhm,
some chili from India like
mhm,
years ago, and
mhm.
this powder is so incredibly spicy that I still have it in the kitchen
Yeah,
because you can only,
it will take you
yeah.
decades to finish it. Well, that as it's I think that would be the one you're talking about. That would be red chili,
Mhm.
but we use mostly green chilies, rather red. Some household they do, but normally all around also in India, the green chilies are more preferred because
Mhm.
they are good for your body. Because red are not good, so they yeah they're not really good for your
Uh-huh.
stomach.
So in general, I would say you can find everything also here in Germany. You can say that you're not missing something. Well, maybe your family is not here in Germany, right?
No, no, none of.
So your sister is in Canada and the rest of the family is still in India?
Exactly, exactly. One of my eldest sister is in Canada. Yes.
Okay, so in general, do you think that you will gonna stay to Germany if everything is fine, if you're still happy, or do you think maybe one day you will move back to India?
Well, moving back to India, that's a question I always ask to myself, but I don't think so that would ever happen. But again, you never know what can happen or will happen in your life that could change your life dramatic. As I said earlier, in the beginning, that I never had any chance to come to Germany, but here I am living almost the same time I lived in New Zealand.
Mhm.
So, but I cannot picture myself living in India now. As I said, it's been like almost a decade now. But working there, having a family, or whatever comes along with it, no, I don't think so.
So let's say that Vishal is happy here in Germany, and you see he is a smart guy, not like everyone has the idea, I don't know, maybe an Indian person or someone that looks for luck in Germany goes in a kitchen and washes the dishes, for example. You know, it's also beautiful to see that you can also achieve something if you want.
Of course, it's again, it's individual, you know. If you do, if you have the courage, if you do take this step, I'm 100% sure you would definitely land on something that you always imagined.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I would say, Vishal, thank you so much for
Thank you,
being
Sylvia.
here.
Thank you so much.
I love this interview. I hope people would love it too. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up and we will see each other next week with a new video. Ciao.
Bye bye.